Stop being a victim. Taking control of your life is easier than you think. You are addicted to the comfort of your own story. The one where you're the hero who just can't catch a break. Stop it. Let's not waste time with soft language. Look at your life right now. The stagnation, the frustration, the resentment that bubbles up every time things don't go your way. If we were to analyze your internal monologue over the last week, one pervasive theme would drown out all others. It's not my fault. The toxic partner. The unfair boss. The bad timing. The lousy childhood. You've constructed an elaborate, architecturally sound prison of excuses, and you call it your personal narrative. In this narrative, you are perpetually positioned as the consequence, never the cause. You are the protagonist to whom things happen, not the force who makes things happen. This is the core of the victim identity, and it is, quite frankly, a lazy and cowardly way to live. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a victim of your own behavioral choices. Every time you default to an excuse, you are trading the terrifying but empowering reality of responsibility for the dull, predictable safety of blame. Responsibility is the ultimate currency of personal power. When you claim it, you claim control. When you surrender it, you become a puppet of external forces. You've been handing out the strings to your own life for free. The psychological payoff of helplessness. Why do you cling so tightly to this identity? Because it offers profound, insidious psychological payoffs. Your victim status is not a burden. It's a shield. Payoff 1, exemption from effort. If the system is rigged against you, why try? If the person you're attracted to only dates superficial people, why bother becoming compelling? The victim identity gives you a free pass on the relentless, difficult work of self-improvement and courageous action. You never have to risk failure because you never truly commit to winning. Payoff 2, access to empathy and sympathy. This is the relationship trap. When you present yourself as bruised, misunderstood, or chronically unlucky, you elicit an immediate, albeit superficial form of human connection. Pity. Pity is not respect. Pity is cheap, temporary emotional fast food. You mistake sympathy for genuine care, but it's a transaction that costs you your power. The truly compelling individuals command respect, which is earned through competence and conviction, not through stories of woe. Payoff 3, protection for the ego. This is the deadliest payoff. If your attempt to start a business fails, you can say, the market was bad. If your relationship collapses, you can say they were toxic. By externalizing the cause, you successfully protect the fragile core of your ego from the only truth that matters. You failed, and that's okay, but it was your move that failed. You are terrified to admit that you have agency and still made a poor choice, because a poor choice implies you need to change. The first shocking truth, you choose your suffering here, is the first shocking truth you need to internalize. Your sustained suffering is a choice you make every single morning. No one is suggesting you haven't faced real hardship. Hardship is universal. But the transition from a person who experienced suffering to a person who identifies as suffering is a conscious behavioral switch. The initial pain was inflicted upon you. The lingering, debilitating narrative of victimization is something you inflict upon yourself every time you recount the story without shifting to the solution. You have confused feeling pain with being permanently damaged. Pain is inevitable. Stagnation is optional. The moment you decide to use your past trauma as a reason for why you can't act today, instead of using it as a lever for why you must act today, you are actively selecting the victim role. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you choose to do next. If your next action is to complain, you are choosing your suffering. The attraction killer, low-value storytelling. This victim mindset completely warps your attraction dynamics. You wonder why you attract partners who are emotionally unavailable, volatile, or unreliable. It's simple psychology. You attract people who validate your dominant story. If your unconscious story is, I am a good person who is constantly mistreated, you will subconsciously seek out partners who will mistreat you. Why? Because they make your story true. They confirm your worst fear, yes, but they simultaneously validate your core identity. A partner who is consistently loving, stable, and empowering would force you to rewrite your entire script. They would force you into the terrifying role of the agent, the person who is fully responsible for their own happiness and success. That requires immense effort. The second shocking truth that kills attraction and power is this: complaining is not cathartic. It is a performance that repels high-value people. When you dump your ongoing problems on others, your coworker, your date, your friend, you are asking them to take on a piece of your burden. High-value individuals, those who are secure and pursuing their own goals, have a zero-tolerance policy for this energy drain. They want a partner, a peer, an ally, someone who adds value, not someone who acts as a bottomless sink for emotional sewage. They instinctively retreat from people who constantly broadcast instability and helplessness. Conversely, people who are drawn to your victim status are often looking for two things: someone they can control, because helpless people are easy to manipulate, or someone they can fix, because it makes them feel powerful. Neither dynamic leads to a healthy, balanced, or passionate relationship. The moment you stop telling your victim story, you immediately filter out the people who are not truly equipped to love or partner with the authentic, powerful you. The immediate takeaway. Reframe and act. Clear takeaway you need right now is a fundamental shift in perspective. Every problem you face is simply an opportunity to demonstrate competence. The problem isn't the problem itself. It's the label you attach to it. Stop labeling situations as unlucky or unfair and start labeling them as a challenge that requires a specific strategic response. If you're frustrated by a lack of money, the solution isn't to blame the economy. It's to acquire a high-value skill. If you're frustrated by a lack of dates, the solution isn't to blame society. It's to refine your approach, improve your social skills, and increase your visible presence. Stop focusing on the narrative of the problem and focus entirely on the action required for the solution. Your task is to identify one area where you've recently used an external factor as an excuse and rephrase it, starting with, "I have the power to," instead of, "I can't save money because I don't make enough." Say, "I have the power to adjust my budget and find a supplementary income stream." This single shift from passive blame to active ownership is the moment you reclaim your life. Are you going to keep waiting for an apology? Or are you going to demand a new outcome? The delusion of external rescue, you've internalized the first truth. You're choosing your suffering. Now we dissect the mechanism of that choice, which is your profound, almost religious belief in external rescue. You are convinced that the solution to your problems exists outside of your own skin, waiting to be delivered by the right person, the right opportunity, or the perfect intervention. This isn't hope. It's a delusion of passive salvation. This belief is the engine of the victim mindset. If a job, a relationship, or a life event is supposed to save you, then its failure is not your responsibility. It's the failure of the rescuer. You spend all your time analyzing the external world. Is this the right partner? Is that the perfect job title? Will this social circle finally validate me? You are constantly checking the horizon for a lifeboat instead of learning to swim. The relationship rescue fantasy nowhere is this delusion more crippling than in relationship dynamics. You view a potential partner not as a peer with whom you build a life, but as a missing piece required to complete your broken self. You are looking for a repair service, not a companion. You bring your emotional baggage, your financial instability, and your lack of personal direction to the dating market, and you secretly hope that the sheer perfection of the other person will somehow mend your internal chaos. This is why you often chase people who are highly put together, charismatic or successful, not because you genuinely connect with them, but because they represent the unattainable competence you refuse to develop in yourself. You want to siphon their life force. The third shocking truth you must accept is this: no one can rescue you from yourself. A relationship built on rescue is a debt you will always pay with your resentment and eventual self-sabotage. When you enter a relationship seeking rescue, you assign an impossible task to your partner. You burden them with the weight of your happiness, which is a responsibility no single person can bear. The relationship inevitably fails under this pressure, not because the partner was toxic or unavailable, but because your foundation was built on sand. And when it crashes, what do? You revert instantly to the victim narrative. They let me down. They promised stability and they failed me. I picked the wrong one. You refuse to acknowledge the true problem. You entered the contract expecting a nurse, not a partner. The moment you place your emotional well-being into another person's hands, you give them the power to destroy you, and you will blame them when they inevitably fumble that power. The illusion of bad luck. Let's move beyond relationships. You often attribute your lack of professional momentum or financial freedom to bad luck, the economy, the competitive nature of your industry, the networking culture you despise. You focus on the macro conditions you cannot control, specifically to ignore the micro behaviors you can. You believe you need a lucky break to succeed. What you actually need is consistent, boring discipline. Success is not a lightning strike. It is the accumulation of hundreds of tiny, deliberate actions that the victim identity rejects because they are unglamorous and demand self-reliance. Victim: I can't get promoted. My boss plays favorites. Owner: I will acquire a skill set so valuable and demonstrable that my boss is forced to rely on me, regardless of personal preference. Victim: I can't save money. Prices are too high. Owner: I will track every dollar, cut every unnecessary expense, and find a side hustle to increase my revenue by 10%. That is a math problem, not a character flaw. The victim waits for the lottery. The owner buys tools and gets to work. This small distinction separates the people who complain about their lives from the people who are too busy building theirs to notice the complaints. The clear takeaway: stop waiting. Start owning. The immediate shift you need to implement is recognizing the power of the pivot. Every single moment you spend analyzing why you are in a certain situation is a moment you steal from deciding what you will do next. The victim dwells in the past cause. The owner obsesses over the future effect. Stop using your history as a handcuff. Your past failures, your abusive relationships, your financial missteps, they are not permanent indictments of your worth. They are data points. They are lessons paid for in pain. You own the lessons, you implement the change, and then you discard the victim story. Your action step: the 5-5 rule. Take 5 minutes today to identify one area where you are currently blaming an external factor for your stagnation, e.g., your city, your upbringing, a specific person. Now spend the next 5 minutes writing down 5 concrete, measurable actions you can take to neutralize or circumvent that external factor without needing its permission or assistance. If your financial situation is the economy's fault, your 5 actions might be: 1. Research 2 certifications in a higher-paying field. 2. Apply for 3 freelance gigs. 3. Create a detailed budget using an app. 4. Sell 5 unused items online. 5. Ask for a raise using data points. Do not allow yourself to dwell on the difficulty. The point is to shift your brain from the passive emotion of blame to the active logistics of control. You are not owed a perfect life. You are not owed a perfect partner. You are owed the outcome that your own consistent, self-directed effort produces. Do you want comfort or do you want control? You cannot have both. The execution gap. Why you sabotage success. You've accepted that you choose your suffering and you're addicted to the delusion of external rescue. Now we confront the ultimate hurdle, the execution gap. This is the space between the moment you genuinely decide to change and the moment you implement the new, powerful behavior. This gap is where the victim identity makes its final, desperate stand, usually in the form of self-sabotage. You initiate positive action, you start exercising, you meet a great potential partner, you launch the side project, and then, almost immediately, you break the momentum. You pick a fight, you forget to follow up, you deliberately miss the gym. Why? Because your subconscious mind is desperately trying to restore cognitive harmony with your old, comfortable victim narrative. The tyranny of emotional homeostasis. Your brain loves predictability, even if the predictable environment is miserable. It achieves emotional homeostasis by keeping you within a defined zone of comfort, which includes the comfort of your complaints. When you start succeeding, you create an identity crisis. Your internal blueprint, the one that says, "I am the one who struggles," the one who is held back, is challenged by external reality. The moment you achieve a new level of success, your subconscious screams, "Wait! This doesn't match the script. If I succeed, I can no longer be the victim. If I am not the victim, I have no excuse for stagnation, and I have to keep doing this hard work." To avoid the terror of becoming a powerful, responsible person and the terror of having to sustain that role, you deliberately torpedo your own efforts. The self-sabotage is not an accident. It is an active, albeit unconscious measure to return to the known safety of failure. You break the momentum to revalidate your victim status. You find comfort in being right about your own inability. The fourth shocking truth: you are not your trauma. The deepest root of your victim identity is often a past trauma or injustice. You've allowed that painful event to become your defining characteristic. You've let the single worst thing that happened to you write the mission statement for the rest of your life. Here is the fourth and final shocking truth: your willingness to constantly recount your trauma is often a subconscious attempt to justify your current level of inaction. You use the past as a permanent emotional anchor. While understanding your past is crucial, dwelling in it, using it as an explanation for everything that goes wrong now, is a refusal to move into the present. The victim perpetually relives the injury. The owner uses the injury as fuel. You can respect the struggle and honor the pain without letting it control your outputs. The most powerful people are not those who are untouched by hardship. They are those who have mastered the art of translating trauma into trajectory. They decided that the injury defines their starting point, not their finish line. They refuse to let the perpetrators or the circumstances of the past continue to inflict damage on their future. You, by clinging to the victim identity, are effectively allowing your past, abusers, or misfortunes to win every single day. Stop giving them that power. The finality of ownership. Taking control is easier than you think, because it is simply a matter of two things: deciding and doing. You don't need a massive 180-degree overhaul. You need a series of tiny, immediate pivots that prove to your subconscious that the old script has been discarded. The clear takeaway: embrace the discomfort of competence. When you feel the urge to retreat, to blame, or to sabotage a positive outcome, stop. Name the feeling. Say, "This is my old victim identity trying to pull me back to safety." Then, take the opposite action. Feeling, "I'm overwhelmed by this project." Victim response: procrastinate, watch TV, complain to a friend. Owner response: open the document and complete the single smallest, most immediate task. Not the whole project, just one bullet point. Feeling: this new relationship is going too well. Something is wrong. Victim response: manufacture drama, find an imaginary flaw, push the person away. Owner response: acknowledge the fear of intimacy, communicate honestly, and lean into the positive momentum. Ownership is not a destination. It's a daily maintenance habit. It means cleaning up the messes you made yesterday, regardless of whether they were intentional or accidental. It means facing the music and paying the price instead of hiding from the bill. You have been granted the awareness. You know the script you've been running. The performance is over. The curtain is up and there is no understudy. You are the star, and you are also the director, the stage manager, and the writer. Your life will change the moment you stop waiting for the world to apologize to you and start demanding accountability from yourself. Get off your knees. Your future isn't a gift. It's a conquest.